Yeah, it all started here with pinball, back around 1930, before the world knew anything about zeros and ones.
Take the load off your pin, start polishing your balls, because these bits are brand flippin' new.
Tonight, Emily will be test driving the all-new 18-wheeler.
10-4, big buddy.
We'll be passing the port around the top 5 table with the very best games that originated from the arcades.
And Alex runs into Gary Penn, the genius behind Grand Theft Auto.
But first, here's Boof with a review of the galactic Zone of the Enders.
We're not talking Grant and Phil Mitchell roughing up the old bird behind the bar, but Zone of the Enders does get down and dirty with the arse end of the universe, a mining colony in Jupiter. With a story spanning eons of history, it'll take more than a couple of pints down the Queen Vic to take this baby in. But here's the good news. Produced by video game guru Hideo Kojima of Metal Gear Solid fame, Zone of the Enders could be a reason to get a PlayStation 2. In a nutshell, it's 2172. Colonies that have been set up on Mars now want complete freedom from Earth and have waged war on Jupiter, home to the Enders who mine the precious metal Metatron. Without this metal, the evolutionized mech warriors, or orbital frames as they're now known, would not be possible. You play an innocent 14-year-old local Ender boy called Leo. The Martians invade, all your friends are ruthlessly slaughtered, and you have to fend for yourself. Until, that is, you happen to stumble upon Jeheti, a highly advanced and much sought-after frame. Leo accidentally bonds with the onboard computer Ada, and thus your adventure begins. With boy bots fighting fembots, both coming equipped with ginormous cocks, this is pure Japanese anime. Never have I felt so inspired to play with robots since Transformers wowed my tiny mind back in the days of playground fashion. The game is designed to be a fully immersive single-player experience, and as you'll find out, the more you and Jeheti merge, the more you'll both learn. Need I even say the look of this game is almost unparalleled. There's an impressive sense of scale as Jupiter looms ominously at the edge of the colony. The battles in this game are lightning fast and could have been a very disorientating experience. But with the camera following every move you make, you're never confused, however fast the action. The controls are beautifully intuitive, making it an exceptionally liberating game to play as you move through space with all the grace of a dolphin.
We have shot down the enemy.
With uncompromising, instant gameplay, cinematic graphics, and an ultimately groovy keep-the-peace ethic, this game is going to be huge and is already destined to become a cartoon in Japan. Zone of the Enders for your PlayStation 2s is coming out at the end of this month.
In the grand tradition of transposing comics to computer games, Alien vs. Predator creators Rebellion have announced that they're doing it all over again with 2000 AD.
The company became the envy of bedroom boy wonders everywhere when they bought the license for their cult comic last year. They've already assumed all editorial responsibilities.
And their first title based on the franchise will be Dredd vs. Death, a first-person shooter featuring that lovable super cop Judge Dredd, who will be distributing the sentences across the cursed earth and dealing a whole load of whoop-ass.
You can expect this baby to be peeling onto your PC, PlayStation 2 and Xbox sometime late in 2002 AD. And here's a ray of hope for those grown-ups with a Harry Potter fixation.
If you've been caught up in the books, know everything about the upcoming movie, cannot wait to get your hands on the video game when it comes out, but you're afraid that it's going to be a cheap and poo merchandising ploy, well, rest assured, because there is darkness at the helm. Yes, the self-same man who will bring you the Harry Potter video game at the end of the year is the guy who brought you Shadow Man last year. Yep, the producer of Shadow Man, last year's serial killer thriller adventure, is in charge at the Harry Potter camp over at Electronic Arts. And hopefully he's throwing in some diseased skin and crying babies into the mix.
Would you let this man into your child's mind?
You're expecting a lot of sort of gratuitous violence. You get the violence, but it's much more the perception of it.
And finally, finally, though years of rivalry between Sega and Namco have driven the development of some classy titles in the past, it appears that the Cold War is over.
Yes, the arcade arch-rivals have decided to join forces and make a wee baby as their brand new coin-op Vampire Knight hits Japanese arcades this month.
Talk about industry swingers.
So, to celebrate the coming together of such genius, we've come up with our very own top 5 arcade ports.
Sega, Namco, we salute you.
Taking a nostalgic trip to Planet Retro, Pac-Man, courtesy of Namco, has certainly stood the test of time. This was a perfect port for the Wii, but ill-fated Neo Geo for its classic instant gameplay. The original arcade port can be found on Namco Museum Volume 1, along with 6 other arcade classics for the PlayStation.
Taking to the Saturn in 1995, Virtua Fighter was the first to go 3D and the first 32-bit game to sell 1 million copies in Japan. For the full-on graphical onslaught, hold on tight for Virtua Fighter Quattro, the first Sega title hitting the PlayStation 2 soon.
When it comes to pure, selfish, single-player mayhem, Namco's Time Crisis is a class act. The game came packaged with a super accurate Namco gun con. A button on the side perfectly mimicked the arcade pedal, so you could duck and dive your way to glory from the comfort of your own living room.
Arcades aren't just for the hardcore fighting, shooting, driving lads. No, you can also make a complete tit out of yourself with music and rhythm. When it comes to fun, frolics and a touch of the bizarre, Sega win hands down for taking the carnival to the console with Samba de Amigo.
Now, when it comes to driving, the two are neck and neck.
While Namco had the classic Ridge Racer, Sega had Sega Rally. Let's face it, Alex, the handling's crap and the gameplay's shallow.
You could finish Sega Rally 2 in a weekend.
Yeah, Ridge Racer rocks the bollocks off any Sega Rally game. Work your way up and you'll even be able to unlock the Pac-Man car in the last level of Ridge Racer 4 on the PlayStation and Ridge Racer 5 on the Arcade Perfect PlayStation 2. With a faithful wink to their little retro baby, Namco have come full circle. Aww.
Get out of my way!
It shouldn't come as any surprise that the title of this next one has the numbers spelt out for you. It's not complicated. In fact, it's probably an inbred hillbilly's dream. All you have to do is drive an 18-wheeler across the states from coast to coast, from New York City to San Francisco, dragging your 20-ton cargo behind you from your 60-foot truck. Do you copy?
I'm Lizardtail, #1 trucker in the US of A, and don't you forget it!
One for anyone who fancies themselves as a truck driver. Shades on, buttock crack the size of the San Andreas, fault exposed to the elements, porn in the back cabin. Ah, yes. 18-wheeler is the game for you. This is another arcade port to the Dreamcast, and it's as straight as they come, with very little to unlock and only 3 playable modes. Time to start looking for one of those special greasy spoons that serve speed-fueled coffee. Alternatively, make your own at home. You'll need it if you intend playing this game for longer than 10 minutes. Otherwise, you can always try riding other cars off the road, smashing through houses, and of course, actually caring about the bumper-to-bumper battle with your arch-rival. Can you deliver the goods before he does?
And that's about as close to strategy as you're going to get in this game. Do you let your rival go through, lose the bonus, but maybe get through to another round? Or do you drive the little prick off the road who's been doing nothing but get up your tailpipe all morning? Sod the bonus, sod the next round. I just want this butt plug to eat my dust.
To help you in your trucking career are power-ups earned by good parking in bonus rounds and the ever-so-not-so-useful slipstreams of other HGVs to give you that extra va-va-not-so-vroom. For maximum pleasure, all you truckers out there should go for the first-person view rather than the three-quarter top-down. From inside your cubbyhole, you get the full rumpy, bumpy effect of the ride.
Big baboon, that's a 69er.
The difference between the trucks themselves is also mostly visual, as one 18-tonner feels much like another, and you never really get a sense that you're going any faster, even if you're riding the quickest truck available.
Hurry up!
But unless you're a real fan, with posters of big wheelers on your walls next to your modern-day Daisy Dukes, then this is a rent-only title. Fun is hard to come by, as to make up for the lack of depth, they've made it really hard. Even in normal mode, you'll only just have enough time to complete the tracks. And that's only if you hit the time bonus, cars. Realism is out and OTT caricature is in. So don't expect to be able to spill your load or shoot any stray tourists on the freeway when it wheels onto your Dreamcast at the end of May.
Dear Bits, I've been watching your FMV of the Week section with growing interest. The bouts of Final Fantasy and Project Eden, all fine choices. I would like to suggest my own favourite, Dragon Valor, which comes forth from the PlayStation console and rocked my world back in 1999. Please, please, please comfort my bleeding ears by making this classic calamity your FMV for this week. Yours sincerely, Nigel.
Rock on, Nigel!
Your suggestions for our FMV of the week to the website at www.forlater.com/bits.
What? After the break, Alex does try to be serious with the latest first-person Fragfest.
I can't hear anything! What?
Welcome back to Bits.
Coming up,
The study of perspective and vector geometries,
the art of interactive storytelling.
first-person, second-person and third-person structures,
But maybe...
the Wu-Tang Clan, a lesson in fragging, enough violence to shake up the House of Lords, and what you can spend your moolah on this weekend.
But first, just to be taken seriously for a minute, listen to Alex.
Crow Team Serious Sam has a very noble aim. It's intended to capture the heyday, those crazy 3D Disneyland gone horribly wrong frontier-style shooting galleries, the manic hecticness of days of yore. Finally, somebody understands that we gamers don't want depth or enhanced interactive experiences. All we want to do is kill stuff. Lots of stuff. Serious Sam is a shoot-'em-up with philosophy. It's trying to go back to the old school when men were Duke Nukem and hell was a game called Doom. It's got simple enemies, environments, and weapons. Thanks to the phenomenally successful and innovative 1998 first-person shooter Half-Life, the gun-toting division of the games industry has drifted from what's really important in interactive entertainment. They've been too caught up in the race to have unique selling points. Their titles must have the most amazing effects, the most intelligent enemies, the most interactive storyline. They've forgotten the most essential thing, the gameplay. However, its simplistic design does open itself up to some genuinely funny moments. The hundreds of headless corpses advancing over a sand dune, howling with wild abandon, reeks of Dawn of the Dead, and all you can do is step back, cock your shotgun, and dispose of the silly bastards' missile command styly until they are no more. But then again, do you really want to develop a relationship with people you're about to pop? I think not. And if you do, there are some nice people called psychiatrists you should chat to. It's an enjoyable game, but the question begs to be asked, for how long? Quake it is not, and it will alienate the very people it's trying to please, for it's processor hungry, my friends. Serious Sam's target audience is old-school shooter fans, those cases who sit around staring at their blue computer screens wistfully mumbling, "Oh, how I wish they'd release a game like Doom again in full 3D and with loads of enemies." Their demented, lifeless, lonely prayers are about to be answered. That is, of course, if they have a hell of a PC. Serious Sam will hold you over until Doom 3, Duke Nukem Forever, and Return to Castle Wolfenstein surface from development hell. And it's available to buy from the end of next month.
Time now to see what you can get your grubby little mitts on with this week's Shop Shelf.
A long-awaited arcade port, Fighting Vipers 2 has plenty of characters with their own attacks and loads of combos and moves to master. Oh yeah, bugger, that's gotta hurt. Out now for DC.
The joy, the tears, the heartache and the dodgy sheepskin coats. Yes, it's the latest in football management sims from the Codies with LMA Manager 2001. It's out on your PlayStation.
Hit it long!
You won't get more realistic than Formula One Racing Championship. Every tiny section of track, crash barrier, and pit has been modeled on the real thing. This is a fully licensed and ready-to-roll masterpiece. Out now for PlayStation 2.
EverQuest Deluxe Edition includes the ruins of Karnak and the scars of Velius, and more characters with made-up names than you can shake a stick at. Out now for PC, of course.
Hello?
What's up?
What's up?
So what's up, Duke?
Just kicking some ass, drinking a brew.
True.
Yep, Daddy's back and he's got a big shooter. So if boobs, brawn and no brains are your thing, buy this one now for your PlayStation.
That's one way to spank the monkey.
Next up, here's Alex with some more gratuitous violence and the creator of Grand Theft Auto, Gary Penn.
Violence in video games have always gone hand in hand. Now, 2 years after its original release, the super graphic Wu-Tang Taste the Pain has made a surprisingly high re-entry in the all formats charts thanks to an in-store promotion. Greatly misunderstood, violent video games are an ideal way to de-stress for some, but also make the perfect scapegoat at the hands of the moral majority's lynching mob. In the UK, Grand Theft Auto kick-started the public outcry that got the likes of Mary Whitehouse in a lather. But was it really worth all the fuss? Grand Theft Auto producer Gary Penn found his work raised in the House of Lords. Gary, how did that happen?
Simply marketing on behalf of Max Clifford, who had the nous to realise that if the game was going to get noticed, he had to bring it to the public consciousness. Best way to do that was to generate some coverage, controversy angle.
Controversy, but why?
Way to go.
Why was the controversy even raised? I mean,
the subject matter lended itself to the issue of controversy. The idea behind the game was to steal cars and commit acts of violence. So that made it very easy for the controversy to be solved. But it did the game a great deal of favours. I mean, it wasn't the best looking game in the world. So to actually have it brought into the public's attention due to the content made a big difference.
Funnily enough, when GTA 2 was released in 1999, it wasn't pointed at, it wasn't banned. In fact, it wasn't even made an example of. In fact, it was given a 15 by the games rating body ELSPA. They say that the social climate changed so much in that 1 year that the Grand Theft Auto franchise was no longer considered offensive to the innocent eyes of the nation's youth. The industry has courted the aggressive vibe since the early days of Mortal Kombat, when little boys as young as 7 were experts at ripping the bleeding spines out of their enemies' gaping neck wounds. Already, parents' groups were fighting to ban these terrible things that were poisoning their children's minds.
With violence, you get to do things you don't do during the day. Probably things you'd like to vent your spleen, your anger, your frustrations in some way. You can't do that for real, but you can do it in a game.
But where does this fascination stem from? Is there any truth to the theory by the sexpert Sigmund Freud that human beings are driven by an innate, aggressive force? I don't believe it.
Video games are only about 30 years old. Visually very graphic violence is 15 years old. People have been violent for a lot longer than that. I mean, there have been a lot of wars in this last century, and I guarantee not one of them was caused by playing a video game.
Are there any merits to these video nasties? Well, here's Emily Newton Dunn with the lowdown on the Wu-Tang Clan Tang, which re-entered the charts from nowhere.
The recent fervour over Wu-Tang Taste the Pain may be down to the highly competitive $4.99 price tag. It may even be due to the fact that the Wu-Tang recently enjoyed music chart success. But the real question is the game any good?
On out the woodworks, hood shirts and wizards, no match, unhatched. The rap is rigid in the shaft, shiny cop, hip hop to the limit, night watch, path mark, spark, spin a quake, nuclear blast, heavy on the cash, give it what it takes now.
Taste the Pain was born from the aborted Thrill Kill, a game deemed too violent to be released by family-conscious publisher EA, which is a shame because it was the first beat-em-up to feature four-player action. The new incarnation was rebuilt around the Shaolin-obsessed Staten Island rap crew, the Wu-Tang.
As lords over this weak and pathetic world.
Catch up with the Wu Gang for some serious chop-chop master action. The flimsy storyline is dragged along by cutscenes, and you'll want to pay attention because this is likely the only chance you'll get to recognise our individual heroes. The in-game graphics aren't quite as good. Innovative and gory as the multiplayer action may be, it's still clunky, and while the individual characters' special death moves may make for some cool eye candy, the game is a bitch to play through. If you're a Wu fan though, this is a must-own, as the game weaves reality and virtuality seamlessly. Spot where one begins and the other ends. In fact, the player's deadliness seems directly proportionate to their record sales, obviously dating the game. Otherwise, old dirty bastard would be hacking and cashing his enemies with a wad of greenbacks.
Respect the deck.
Unfortunately, it's not as smooth as Method Man's lyrics, but at times it certainly is as rough. Great to pick up and play for slice value, but only the truly dedicated clan fan will see it through to the end, only for the hardcore.
And you could win this micro scooter bundle, courtesy of Freestyle Scooter.
All you have to do is close your eyes, listen to booth stuff,
and picture this.
Zits, cold sores, postulating pudenda, not pleasant words, not pleasant at all. But language like this is fast becoming the norm amongst game developers around the globe. And the reason? Next-gen consoles, that's right. Uber-powerful machines such as the Xbox and PlayStation 3 are forcing graphics people to design every last detailed defect onto the skin of their characters. What we want from you is an account of the most disease-ridden games heroes and heroines you can imagine. Do not spare the details. The most reasonable, puke-inducing observation will be rewarded.
Send us your answers via our website at www.forlater.com/bits.
Or should that be zits?